So in this tutorial we're going to have a look at the Revolve's primer. This is the Revolve's primer. It's a PDF that's available on Shoespace, and this isn't a full-blown tutorial, this PDF. It's more just the key highlights of the steps that you need to go through to create a Revolve feature. So if you want to open that up and follow along through as I just run through the steps contained within there. So if you go new part file, if you give it a descriptive name, Revolves say, and then you may come into the dialog next that's asking you what sort of part template you want to use. You just want to click the default millimeters, grams and second part template, and then you'll come into the modeling space. You may be able to see the datum planes here, and what we're going to do first is we're just going to create a sketch. So this sketch will be the cross-sectional shape of our Revolve. So if you want to pick sketch, and then we're going to sketch on the front plane. So if you want to pick the front plane here, and then just click on the sketch button. Now my view didn't rotate round to look at the plane. If you want to force it to look at 90 degrees to the plane, it's this little icon at the top, and there we go. We're just looking at 90 degrees to the plane now. So I'm going to put a center line in, a horizontal center line, and I'm going to snap it onto this horizontal construction line, and then hit escape, and then I'm just going to quickly sketch my cross-section shape. So I'm going to get the line tool. I'm just going to put a vertical line snapped to this vertical construction line, and then I'm going to drag out on the diagonal here, drop a point there. I'm going to put another point which is horizontal to the start point here, so you can see when I get horizontal to the start point, the system wants to add a constraint, so I'm going to let it do that. And then my final point is just back at the start of the shape. And then if I just hit escape to get out of the line tool, you can see that I have this shape sketched out that's very similar to the one on the primer. So you can see the primer shape there with the center line. So we're just going to put some dimensions on that. So if I click on the dimension tool and just have a look at this this dimension here, so that's obviously a radius. If we're going to make a revolved part as the primer shows, then this would be a radial dimension, which you may want to do that at some point, but it's it tends to be better to dimension up the diameter of a revolved part. So if we want to do that, you get your radius tool, your dimension tool here, sorry, and you click on the center line first. You pick the piece of geometry that you want to dimension, so it's this horizontal line, and then if you click back on the center line again, and then middle click to place your dimension, you can see that it's given me the diameter rather than the radius. So the radius would be from the center line out to the part, whereas this diameter is double that. So it knows that this is going to be a revolved part. So it knows that when we do revolve it, there'll be some geometry over here. So we're just going to round that to a nice round number, 200. And then we could either dimension out from the center line to this point here and then put a diameter in for that, or we could just dimension that vertical edge, which I think we'll do, 125, and then we'll go ahead and dimension some of these horizontals as well. So we'll just put some arbitrary figures in here just to tidy this shape up a little bit. So that's been fully dimensioned now, so we can hit OK and then click on our Revolve feature, and you can see that because I still had the sketch selected there, it knows that that's the sketch that I probably want to use for this Revolve feature. If I didn't have it selected there, let's say I clicked off it for any reason, I could go Revolve. You can see that this placement tab is being highlighted, which means that it's looking for some input there, and the input that it's looking for is a sketch. So you can see that that little red light there is saying select one item. What sort of item? It's a sketch item that it's looking for. So you can select that in the graphics window. You can see it's highlighting in red as I move over it, or you could find it in the model tree here and select it there. And as soon as you do, you can see that you get a preview of the Revolve. So that's pretty much stage one from the primer. Stage one says pick the sketch tool, select the sketch plane, create the geometry, add a center line. Stage two we've gone into, insert a revolve, pick the options. So let's have a look at the options tab. Side 1, we're going 360 degrees. It's advising that we should put 240 in there, so you can see what that does to the preview. That revolved shape hasn't gone the whole way round, so not 360, it's just gone 240 degrees round, and you can see that highlighted there with the dynamic dimension there. So let's put that back in. 240. So that's 240 on side 1. Still using options. Change angle direction of revolve, we can do that. So we'll keep it as 240, but we'll flip it in the opposite direction. So that's this button here. So let's click on that. You can see it still starts at the sketch, but instead of going round this way, it's now flipped and it's gone round in the opposite direction. So that's direction of revolve, that arrow there. And then I think the final step is to send it back through 360 and create a closed revolve like that. So if we want to go in and change any of those options that we've just seen, say we've created the revolved shape, maybe we've added some more features on top of it, maybe some holes, maybe some extrude features, we can always go back and get into the Revolve feature again by just right clicking on the feature in the feature tree, and then either go into edit definition. We can get back in to the Revolve feature there. You can see we've got all the options again, or if we just want to vary some of the dimensions, we can double click on the feature itself and you can see the driving dimensions of that feature get displayed, and we can double click on any one of those and change them, and you can see that it's updating the feature there.